Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending our Monday, April 28, 2025 special meeting. As you'll see, we're going to start with our opening. We will have our invocation by my board member, Coach, and my Pledge of Allegiance by board member Nathan Russ. All please stand.
Gracious Father, thank you for giving us this day, a day that was not promised. We pray, oh Heavenly Father, that we would do your will as we gather in this place today. We pray, oh Heavenly Father, that the outcomes will be for the betterment of the lives of the children and the families of East Baton Rouge Parish. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have a call to order? Roll call.
District 4, President Stewart.
Present.
District 7, Vice President Gode.
Here.
District 1, Mr. Blue. District 2, Mr. Lannis. District 3, Ms. Powell Lewis. District 5, Mr. Lewis.
Present.
District 6, Mr. Russ.
Present.
District 8, Ms. Sule.
Present.
District 9, Mr. Martin. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, we're now at item B, items for consideration. And of course, our subject matter, which we all hear, is the 2025 District Facility Realignment Plan. Before I start, I just want to let everybody know that there are comment cards out in the area for anyone that would like to make a comment. So please, if you do wish to make a comment, please get a comment card and hand it to our lovely board secretary. Thanks. Okay, Superintendent, it's all on you.
Thank you, Madam President. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here this afternoon. Sincerely appreciate you. I want to thank those who are watching at home as well. I also would like to thank the members of our community who have remained engaged throughout this entire process. I want everyone to know I don't take these decisions lightly. Throughout this process, some people lose weight when they are under stress. I gained about 60 pounds as a result of having to make tough decisions that I know are going to affect our community. When we started this journey together on August 5th, after having a series of conversations with many of you on the board, as well as with members of this community, we recognize that there is a need for change as it relates to how we do things in our school system. The board members, as well as members of the community, have asked, requested, and expect that we do better by our children. And so throughout my travels, as I visited schools throughout this district, and I visited every school in our district, some I visited 5 or 6 times, some I visited twice, but I visited every school and had conversations with our school leaders, with our staff, with our teachers, and with parents. And what I've learned is that we have some deficiencies in terms of how we do things. We have some financial deficiencies, we have some staffing deficiencies, we have some teacher deficiencies, we have deficiencies that don't meet the needs of our students. And so what I did after visiting schools and having conversations was begin working with staff to develop a plan that we entitled Students First. And it is our effort to make the type of changes we need to make in our district that will give our students better opportunities, better academic outcomes, and better facilities. And so I presented that plan 2 weeks ago. It's about a 70-page plan I presented to the board. I want to talk about some of the highlights this evening before we go to the community for public comment. And so if we would bring up the student first slides I want to talk about. And tonight there are only 3 that I want to mention. I've gone over the full plan, but I want to remind the board of something on the next slide. We talked about our guiding principles, and in our guiding principles, we said we would do a few things. And in this plan, we've made the attempt to do many of what we talked about in the guiding principles. One is to put kids in better school facilities. Some of our facilities are old. The deferred maintenance cost are to the tune of about $130 million, which we don't have. We have issues and challenges around families leaving our district. We have challenges around there not being enough school-aged children living in some of the communities where they once lived. And so we have facilities that are operating below capacity. In some cases, facilities are operating at less than 25% of their building capacity. And in some of those facilities, the buildings are extremely old. And so we have to think about how do we do something different. And so I wanted to remind you of the guiding principles to put kids in better facilities, to improve feeder patterns, to make the adjustment in terms of where kids are going to go to school, to ensure that we are able to put certified teachers in the classroom with our students to make sure they have access to high quality instruction, to ensure that we put them in facilities that are safe and that we identify are acceptable for our families. And so we're making the attempt to do that here. Next slide. So with this plan, as you can see, 9 schools are going to be closed, 4 are going to be vacant, and then 6 are going to be repurposed, with over 10,000 students being affected and over 1,400 staff members impacted. And we have a plan. So if the board chooses to approve this plan tonight, and I would hope that you do, we have a very robust, comprehensive plan for our next steps in terms of how we're going to transition these school buildings. What are we going to do for staff in terms of making sure that they are supported during the transition? And then we have some preliminary plans for some of the vacant facilities. And I do want to make mention that some of what we've decided has already begun happening in terms of our 2 IDA schools that have surrendered their charter. And we have asked 2 other operators to come in and work with those schools. And then we transitioned some students back in December, and we have some plans as we go forward for J.K. Haynes. And so with that being said, I would ask for your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Superintendent Cole. And now we're going to go to our public comments. My first public comment is by Eureka Gaston.
President Stu, did you read the item into the record?
Initially, when I first started
Okay,
before him.
all right.
My name is Eureka Gaston. I'm a 1985 graduate.
Ms. Gaston, pull that microphone down.
My name is Eureka Gaston. I'm a 1985 graduate of Capitol High School. This board has a long history of doing things that have been detrimental to the success of African American students. This started way back in 1980. I know you all weren't a part of the school board system at that time, or this board at that time, but the decisions that you all have continued to make have made it so Capitol High School would not be successful. Now, involved in this institutionalized racism, you all have made plans that made it possible for Capital not to succeed. I'm opposing this proposal. While I do support Superintendent Cole, I don't support this proposal because at Capital and McKinley were the only two schools during the Jim Crow era that African Americans were able to be educated in this East Baton Rouge parish. Instead of closing the school down, the school should be a historical monument. Now, I have been told that we spent $1 million to fix the school. The school is still falling down. And this was by people who I would think would be more representative of the school. So everything negative about the school, it has come to pass because we hadn't been funded. $1 million is nothing compared to the money that this board or whomever have voted on to build new schools in the new St. George area. I also seen an article which says that maybe the school can be turned into affordable housing for teachers. That was a newspaper article. I don't know if it was right or not, but my suggestion would be pay the teachers affordable wage, and then they would need to be looking for affordable housing. Pay them a living wage. So I have two questions. It says in the proposal that Capital High School is to be determined on what's going to happen to the school. One thing I would say, when the scores come up to a C or better, will the school be considered to be rebuilt? And another question that someone asked me to ask is, can the school be rezoned? So this is all up to you all. I oppose this proposal, and I do think it would be a detriment to take away Capital High School from our community.
Thank you, Ms. Gaston. Mr. Alfred Bell?
Hi, my name's Alfred Bell. I'm a graduate of Capital High, class of '85. I too, like you, Record, have great concerns for Capital. Piggybacking on what she said, Capital was the second school that black people was allowed to go to. There's a lot of history in that campus. My mother, my grandfather, my daddy, my aunties, uncles, brothers, sister, myself, all of us has went there. When I step on Capitol grounds for the annual picnic, it sends chills because I know all of my people have went here. And now we wants to tear this school down or shut it down when, like your records say, it should be a monument, it should be a historical building. Because when we couldn't go nowhere else, we did have Capitol go to. So maybe if this board would rezone, as what she was saying, where children going to other schools outside of the district, maybe you can get the enrollment that you want. Because as I spoke to one board member, they say there has 89, I think, students at Capital right now. Only 89, so that's why y'all want to shut it down, because it's only 89 students at the school, which is far below the attendance. But if y'all was to rezone it to where children who's going to Broadmoor, Woodlawn High, Tara, if you can take those same children that's coming out of Fairfield, Eden Park area, and zone them to where they can go to Capital instead of catching a bus going to Woodlawn, maybe Capital numbers could rise. I am opposed to the closing of Capital. I'm opposed to anything that's taking Capital from being the school that it's always been. I learned a lot there. I have pride, as they say, lion pride, and I support Cole and what he do. But on this here, with the closing of Capital, I got to say no, I don't support that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Dilton Anderson. I apologize if I didn't pronounce it correctly. Okay.
First time ever attending this meeting here. Had a lot waiting on my heart with this, and I'm hoping that not only this board, but the greater Baton Rouge community receive what I'm about to say in the spirit of love. First and foremost, I do support the plan that's put before us. I do support that. I appreciate the hard work that everybody's put before us to present this plan. To my community, Ecclesiastes 7 and 10, and this is Solomon. And some of his traits were that he was a man of wisdom and solving disputes. 7 and 10 says, "Do not say, why were the former days better than these? For you do not inquire wisely concerning this." The point that I wish to relay with this scripture is, wishing for things to be as they were blinds us from seeing where God has brought us from, witnessing his current blessings, and prevents us from longing for God's promised blessings. So I don't want to look in the past. Romans 8 and 28 says, "As we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose." So yes, some schools are going to be closed. Some communities are going to be affected by that. But my prayer is that we all continue in prayer to take whatever we might see as being meant for our bad and pray that God would make it for our good. Now, I said that I supported this plan. What I would like to see moving forward is, how do we prevent further loss of our students? That's what I need to see in this plan. Because St. George, charter schools, and now the vouchers that are going to go to the private school students are going to further erode that unless we come forward with a plan to combat that. That's what we need. That's what I would like to see. Now, I'm going to say something that's very radical, and a lot of people may not like this. I believe that we should get rid of all magnet schools. We should have magnet components at every school. At every school. We take these 1,600 kids at Baton Rouge High, we take these 1,300 kids at Liberty, and we redistribute them to neighborhood schools. Because how can I affect the village if I'm not affiliated and associated with the village because they're being bussed all around the parish? I can't affect my village because I don't know them. I need to know them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Next, we have Tanya Nyman. I'm sorry, Tanya Nyman.
Good afternoon. My name's Tanya Nyman. I have one child remaining in the East Baton Rouge Parish Public Schools. You can't hear me? Okay, thank you. I'm going to try to be somewhat cogent in 3 minutes or less. It'll be hard. I am opposed to this plan. I think most of y'all are familiar with the old saying, you can't fight fire with fire. And I think it's true, too, that you can't save public schools by closing public schools. I understand you feel like your hands are tied and you don't have anything else to do, but the fact is the under-enrollment, the budget shortfalls, the deteriorating buildings, that's been the product of decades-long attack on public education. The legislature, the state, we the people have not demanded that our public schools be properly funded, and we allowed that destabilizing effect to then justify an accountability system that is discriminatory, to target high poverty school districts, which, because of Louisiana's history, means majority African American school districts, for state takeover and privatization. And I think we need to acknowledge that that privatization systematically denies the community's voting rights, because it replaces the de facto board, the board that actually governs the school, with appointed members. And on top of that, They then siphon our tax dollars away from investment in publicly owned infrastructure and into the coffers of multimillionaires and billionaires and corporations, most of whom are out of state. Superintendent Cole, you may not be standing there high on ketamine, wielding a chainsaw, but it is the same kind of effort. The marketing campaign is better to make this palatable, but the effect and the attack on our form of government and this community's ability to have a truly public education system is because of those issues. And if we do not address those issues, as the gentleman points out, what are we going to do? You're going to lose your public schools and you're going to lose your democratic form of government. So the other thing I want to point out is that in Chicago, where they had the same, this isn't only happening in East Baton Rouge Parish or in Louisiana, it's happening across the country. And in Chicago, where they attempted to close schools to address the problems created by the same, it's the home of Arnie Duncan. So the same sort of policies that created the problems that set up the path to privatization, they found that one, the cost savings touted didn't really manifest, and that there were a lot of unintended adverse consequences for the community. And ultimately, you're not saving public schools or public education. So at the very least, we need our elected officials to stand up and fight for genuine public education and not just accept the information that is provided them in our local media and by the business communities and those that are touting and mouthpieces for the privatization effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Brent Oquin.
Good evening, everybody. I'm actually a teacher at one of the institutions that's being closed or relocated. I'm not really sure because it said that Eva Lagarde was actually going to be, the program was being moved to Glasgow. And I guess some of what I wanted to speak on was some of the lack of communication that we've been given as teachers. I'm not necessarily for or against the plan. Eva Lagarde's only been around, this is its third full year, and so I don't know if we've given it a full shot at actually being successful. All that being said, we do have a low student enrollment, and I do understand that the building is expensive, but we also have close to $50,000 worth of hydroponic and aquaponic equipment that we've acquired through teachers writing grants, and we would like to know what we need to do with that infrastructure, that educational infrastructure going forward, because I'm going to be the one responsible for moving that equipment. And I'm gonna need a truck at least. I'm gonna need something to move, and I'm gonna need to know where to put it. These things don't maintain themselves. I was at Eva Lagarde on Christmas Eve with my daughter, fixing our aquaponic system because these things break at the worst times, and they hold living creatures, and so you have to keep them going. We consume the creatures, but you want to keep them alive, and you want to keep all these things functional. So I haven't really seen a lot of central office staff at our location and communicating with us what's to be done with that equipment, and I'd be more than happy to help if someone would come and have that conversation with us, but we just haven't had anybody have that conversation with us. We haven't. And so that's all I wanted to say is a little bit more communication from the teachers. This is our livelihoods. My wife also is a teacher at Eva Lagarde. We both are losing our income. So we got to figure that out. We do have to, and I know we have the job fair coming up next week, and hopefully we'll get a little bit more clarification there, but just if a little bit more communication would very much be appreciated. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Shauna Banks. And then after Ms. Banks, we'll have Ms. Pearl Porter.
I'm glad I'm speaking before Ms. Pearl Porter. So first of all, I support the move, and the things that make sense to me have to do with the fact that we're reducing the number of F schools, and that many of the buildings, many that I have served as an employee, are dilapidated. Today at my school, we did not have air conditioning nor computer all day today. I wanted to kind of touch on whenever there's a transition and there's a vote, a lot of times we stop there. But in an effort to do a transition, it is going to be very important that there's a transition team put in place that I would say no less than a year. Some of the concerns that the gentleman indicated, as well as hearing just from people at school who are talking about, what is going to happen. A transition team will continue to get not on buy-in, but it's going to be a lot when you are putting together a lot of different cultures. There are some failing schools that and employees, parents have absolutely adopted by omission or commission into failing, and then you move them to a school where they may be high functional, but when you bring and you marry the two, you have really somewhat of a civil war and internal areas. So my hope is that any of the schools that are impacted and remain open, that there are community, parents, staff that continue to work in a transition capacity and maybe meet quarterly and give reports to the community. Also a way where there are ongoing responses from the community that the transition will handle. I'm a resident of Scotlandville, and so my particular concern has been Banks, which has been closed a while. Ryan Elementary, that is one of the schools that you will be considering tonight. J.K. Haynes, which is already closed, and many of those students have been moved to Ryan Elementary. And Progress Elementary, which is a wonderful school, and through my Scotlandville Area Foundation, we've actually adopted that school. So in looking at those that we've seen School Board Member Paul may have been hearing these same things about concerns with the students, faculty that have been moved from J.K. Haynes to Ryan. For instance, being a former council member, you still get the calls because they think you're the president of the United States of Scotlandville. So, for instance, my time? Is it my time?
Yeah, it's your time.
Okay.
You could just wrap up.
Okay, we're just wrapping up. There's teachers or people who are there. They are acclimated with their students and they're doing well. But then there may be a staff person who moves with their students, and then that's where there's an issue. So one of the things I would hope is that just because someone is at a particular school, they should not be automatically moved with their students. There should be an open process, even as it relates to administrators. Just because you are the principal of those students doesn't mean automatically that one of you will run that school in its new form. So just that it's still an open process, and it's like up for grabs where you're getting the best, because it's going to be very important that these schools make it. And because I would say, Superintendent Cole, this is going to define your whole legacy. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Porter. And after Ms. Porter, we have Eric Brown.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. How y'all doing? It's me again, Lord. God said was once war, it will be again. Here we are fighting again for the education of our children. The first question I want to ask, how many parents do we have here tonight? Raise your hand all the way up, please. I need somebody to count them for me while I go on. How long have these schools been in F status? Do y'all know? Can you just give me one? How long have our schools in 70805 or the school that's in F status? Do y'all know how long they've been in F status? Y'all don't know?
I don't have it in front of me, but we can get it to you if you like.
Okay. 7 years, and from my understanding, I know a couple more been 7 years. Okay. All right. What have y'all been doing these last 5 years with 2% code? You just came in, so this wouldn't.
So I can leave?
No, you don't have to leave. This wouldn't concern you right now. How long what has been done within the last 7 to 5 years to help those schools to come up? And what I'm doing here tonight, you all, these are my major concerns. And then, how long have y'all been working on this plan that y'all have put out here? That's my major concern. How could y'all come up with a plan to this magnitude in a few days, I call it? That's my major concern. Closing schools, merging kids together with no parental. I have heard not one time that y'all had a parental meeting just with the parents of these children. That's my major concern again. I'm almost through. Well, I'm almost finished. Because this is my major thing y'all need to do, please, especially in 70805. Let's have, before y'all do any vote, let's have a big parent workshop meeting to let these parents know what's going to happen to their children. Because y'all can see how many was here tonight. Who counted for me? And this is what's been going on at the one meeting that I've gone to, you all. The parents are the major stockholders. And I said this before, any company, when the major stockholders pull out, it's going down, right? So this is why EBR school system is at the bottom just about. Because the major stockholders have pulled out, and those are the parents. So this is my pleading to you all. Before y'all can make any kind of decision, please, let's have a big parent workshop meeting, especially over there in 70805, where most of the schools are being affected. So I pray God that y'all consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brown? And after Mr. Brown, we have Shannon Dunn.
First, I want to thank the board. First, I want to thank the board for everything that y'all have done since Dr. Narcisse been gone. I see that y'all getting along. That's perfect. I mean, that means we're gonna get a lot of work done. A lot of work done. I am a Struma Indian, 7805, and I'm not trying to make Miss Pearl mad, but we did have parent meetings. Yes, we did. And believe me, it was we cried and fussed and all that, about the closing of the schools, And I'm gonna keep it real. We've had meetings. The other thing is, like I said, I'm a Struma Indian, but I'm a Capitol Lion and McKinley Panther also, So I understand the evil of guards. I understand all that, but let's stop naming one. We should be talking about kids, not no buildings, for starters. I'm tired of the names, and don't get me wrong, I keep telling you, I am a Capitol Lion, I am a McKinley Panther, but the names, we can't worry about that. We got to worry about the kids. I mean, I'm at a Struma. I have kids that I know that wanted to go to the middle school that had 2 approaching basics, but they had a 3.0, but they couldn't get in because it was a dedicated magnet school. So I understand the guy earlier about the magnet program. I mean, we got to understand we are fighting for all kids, okay? Not no name of no building, And I'm a black man, and I'm speaking for black men and black family members and parents, because I'm a parent with 2 kids in the EBR school system. But at the same time, again, we got to stop worrying about the name, start worrying about the kids, because McKinley High School is named after a white man named William McKinley, okay? Y'all remember that. So whenever you run around that big M on your chest, remember that. That's not a black man name on there, okay? We got a lot of, marvelous people in South Baton Rouge that have done a whole lot. You hear me? A whole lot. And I'm not trying to make my McKinley people mad, but we can name a street after them. We can name a street after Eva Lagarde. It's a lot of streets. But the buildings, our school, our kids, nah. So when you come up here, talk about what we're going to do for our kids, not what we're going to do for a building. And don't get me wrong, I love Capitol High School. I love McKinley. I can't explain no better. I was born at Lake Hospital, downtown. That's South Baton Rouge. New Sunlight Baptist Church, American Street. Reverend Flower, but it was Reverend Williams. But again, fight for kids, not buildings. And remember what I just told y'all, learn your history. Because see, this is a circle. We're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. And then another thing, please don't name another school after a white man named William McKinley. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Shannon Dunn. And after Shannon Dunn, we have Travis Dabney.
Good evening. I am at one of the 9 schools that will be closing or repurposed. I'm at Westminster Elementary. And my heart is heavy because I've been there for almost 19 years. I've seen them pass, I've seen them go, and I went from a cafeteria manager for almost 16 years to a TOR moderator, and I'm a team player. I've heard so many things that I want to piggyback off of, but I'm gonna keep it short. Our school grew by 8 points in 1 year, and we're at a C. But we're still closing, but I know the area that we're in is, I think, St. George. So maybe we were in harm's way as it is. One thing I heard is about the buildings are old. I've always said years ago, we messed up when we took our janitors away from the school because they were there every day. You needed something fixed, you found them in a hallway. They were fixing the floor. They were doing something outside, whether it was painting or don't touch the wall, this, that, and then they kept the schools looking good outside. 6 o'clock in the morning, they're cutting grass. But because of money or something, I don't know, it'll be better if we hire another company and we get them to come in and you call them and nobody come. You send a message, nobody answer. So your schools begin to deteriorate. That was one of our biggest things. So now our schools, they look like trash. But now you want to say you can't do nothing with them. I guess you can't do nothing with them because it's been years of deterioration. You're doing all this rezoning. I live right here at this corner, a school right across the street, but I can't go to it. I got to go 10 miles away from my house. My parents don't have a car. The bus barely comes because we don't have bus drivers like we're talking about it. So your attendance gets low. When you rezone, put the people back in the schools that's in the area. Why are you shipping them 10, 20 miles away? We have young parents. We don't have old school parents. That way they can walk to school and maybe your attendance will grow. Maybe you don't have to close so many schools. You closing schools and now kids that couldn't get to school, buses didn't come, now you're sending them to O'Neill Lane when they were on Drusilla. I'm not understanding it, but I'm not the ones with the degrees. I'm not the ones sitting behind. I'm just seeing. I'm a team player. I'm gonna do whatever I have to do. But it's not making sense. Your community schools, the child that lives across the street, let her go. Where mama can stand outside and see her walk across the street. 8 o'clock in the morning, the bus still haven't come. We got calls coming in. It's ridiculous. Put your janitors back in the schools. These other people that you got, it ain't working. It's not working. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Mr. Dabney.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Travis Dabney, and I'm a proud graduate of Capital High School, class of 03. I want to share something with y'all, and I know I see my church member, Ms. Powell, and I see Sean is like family to me too as well. What Capital really meant. I just got promoted at LaBerge Casino as the first black assistant director, and that came from Capital High School. No college degree, 18 years on in the casino business. That motivates me. When I sit down and I reach out and I have an opportunity to talk to team members about working in a job experience and explaining that information to me, when you come in my office, you see nothing but Capital High. I agree 100%. No one's want to go to a school where the roof is leaking, where the water is not working, because imagine if you come to work, if none of this not working, you're not going to feel safe in that, all right? Only thing we'd ask is, what are the next step after this here? Because we're getting that, we're going to close it. What are the next step to that? When you go to your grandmother's house, you feel comfortable. When you walk on that school campus, you feel comfortable. I get into it with a scrum of people, McKinley people all the time, but it's a lug language, just like the Bayou Classic between Grambling and Sutton. And when you knock down that foundation from that house, you tear down a cold chair. I support making the kids want to be safe, but we want to know what is the next plan after this here. Because no one want to go to a school that the roof is leaking, that the bathroom is not working or supporting like that, 100%. Because imagine if you had to get to go to work like that and you telling your boss, hey, the air not working and you working at 8 hours a day, or you don't know if your lunch time is going to come. We need to know what are the plans after. Are we planning to close it permanent, and what are we doing? And I hear a lot of the team members say that rezoning, that's what it was about, rezoning. We went to school one time at Broadmoor Middle. When they realized it didn't work, they shifted us back to Westdale. We walked to school. I don't think I started riding the bus till I went to Broadmoor Middle. Rezoning the school and putting people back into the school and making the school believe in what it is. Because if it wasn't for capital, I wouldn't be in the position where I'm at right now. And I'm blessed to be in this position to where I'm at working. So thank you all so much, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Dabney. That concludes the public comment with the cards. I think we do have an online comment.
And just as a reminder, I will refresh one more time on the online comments before they end, but once we finish reading these, they're done. So if you're watching and you want to submit an online comment, now is the time to do it. So this is from Amber Brown. How do we trust anyone in EBR schools when they continually come up with solutions to fix the Dufrock school enrollment issues without actually addressing the cause of the enrollment declines? Hint, it is not the principal or the programming and not the students. Parents are told one narrative and long-esteemed alumni told another. Children who aren't being taught to read are vandalized or villainized as elitists, as staff went on to fully fund expensive trips in the name of improved programming. And y'all want to give them more kids to fail? Vote no on this plan, because as it is, it's going to cause further enrollment declines and will be costly to the district in both academic outcomes and financial cost. Camille Williams, good evening, school board. Please reconsider until the communities are able to get accurate information. The realignment website does not answer questions. Why is Belfair Elementary getting the special treatment? They don't practice Montessori in elementary and above have been funded for expansion multiple times. Only a handful of kids in each grade after second. Why does someone very powerful have a child there? Is there something about phase 2 that's in the works? It isn't just make data sense not to combine it with Winburn and give the hardworking Winburn staff and students the same resources as the Belfair students. If lowering enrollment in the LEAP grades is the path to higher school performance scores, then why aren't we doing that elsewhere? Imagine if every kid had only 5 to 20 kids in the entire grades. Small schools can work. Capitol High could be reimagined as a highly resourced small school. Please reconsider this plan until you figure out a better solution. Next, we have Angela Hall Hatfield, and I'm going to hold hers till the end because she submitted about 5, so I'm going to read them back to back. Next is Eric Stevens. Feels like this is a done deal and has been for some time. It is disappointing there wasn't more effort to make this a collaborative effort, including some representation from the teacher staff. At the bare minimum, it is a hope that if this is passed, you're prepared to release the names of the new consolidated sites. Changing up these teams with transparency with a new focus on student outcomes would help people make an informed decision to stay or go. Please don't make people wait and let the new teams get to work forming a shared culture and mission. Please hold these leaders, instructional support, accountable for enrollment losses of enrollment and academic losses. Stop blaming classroom staff for administrative bungles, please. Next is from Tynette Hawkins. Good evening. As an employee of Winburn Elementary School, one of the schools being proposed to close, what will happen to the staff? I know it's been said that teachers will have the option to move with their students, but what about the front office staff? I have been here at Winburn since 2008, and the school is a big part of who I am. I understand the reasoning behind the realignment, but I also think more input from the public should have been used in making this grand decision. Colleen Kissel. It's pretty obvious that you will pass this tonight regardless of any public comments. But it is important to remember when this is passed, the transition needs to be the most organized and well-coordinated effort that this school team has ever pulled off. You will damage your credibility and any goodwill you still have if this consolidation of schools is not pulled off well. Keep in mind the dignity and worth of every student, family, and staff member as you do this quick turnaround. I don't have high hopes due to the history of this board and central office, but I hope for those who are impacted that you do it right. Next is Eric Rawlson. It's really hard to see some of the impacted communities knowing stakeholders have put in concerns about the enrollment declines for years, only to have staff ignore and reframe the problem in a way intended to fit their narrative for a solution they wanted anyway. What resources exactly will each consolidated school have? 2 social workers in every school, 2 school counselors, maybe a fully staffed nursing team on only assigned to 1 building, maybe enough staff so that everyone can enjoy bathroom breaks and a duty-free lunch. Is that too much to ask? Most research on consolidation shows it is hardest on classroom staff. So how will EBR schools really support staff? It may be easier to support this when it's clear exactly what the benefits are. Right now, according to the facts, it's looking like not much at all. Thank you. Now we'll go back to Miss Angela Hall Hatfield. With such short notice given, it seems almost impossible that disrupted families will find spaces in magnet or alternative programs. Will these students be given priority when applying to magnet programs? Could a list of possible alternatives be given to these students? When phase 2 rolls out, will more notice be given? Will there be any opportunity for community building over the summer for the consolidated schools? Possibly a mini camp, field day, picnic, etc., so the transitioning students might feel welcome to their new situation. Since Belfair was moved into a different building, replacing a school with higher enrollment, does that mean there are plans to grow Montessori or ultimately combine Dufroc's Montessori program with that of Bel Air? The slide decks from the previous realignment meetings listed school capacity, including T buildings. Are there plans to use T buildings at any of the combined schools? Student-teacher ratio is very concerning. Will there indeed be 2 teachers in the max capacity classrooms? Why was the Dufroc school left off the list of impacted schools? It is taking in another school, so it clearly should have been on the list as it is part of the consolidation plans. And I will refresh one more time. And there are a couple more that came in. This is from Michelle Lowry. Why was money spent to get Westminster a newly paved parking lot driveway over the Easter holiday break if it was supposed to be closed? This seems like a waste of money. D. Brown, it is fascinating to witness the passionate advocacy now. I distinctly recall when the former superintendent faced immense pressure from many concerned alumni and community members about Capitol's future. Yet one has to wonder, where was the same fervent energy when it came to actually boosting or encouraging enrollment at Capitol High? Let's be honest, no school, regardless of its cherished history, can feasibly operate at 10% enrollment capacity. The math simply wasn't mathing then when it came to keep it open as it was, and certainly not mathing now if we ignore stark realities. Perhaps this necessary consolidation is the overdue consequence of that collective inaction. Demetrius Blakes, as a proud Capitol High alumni, I have to say, nostalgia is not in the best interest of students. I've watched too many kids wring their hands about saving the school while doing absolutely nothing to boost enrollment. A school running below capacity isn't a symbol of pride. It's a financial sinkhole. Former Superintendent Dr. Narcisse should have made the hard call then, and frankly, delaying it has only made it harder. I love Capitol's legacy, but if we're serious about securing a future for our kids, not just preserving memories for adults, it's time to move forward now. Sherlando McCrae. I am in support of the realignment. Change is challenging, yet change is needed. As a veteran educator in EBR, a parent, and an active member of the community, I feel this is needed for our children. I feel this will help our teachers relieve the stress of the teacher shortage, put certified teachers in all classrooms where the need is, and help students in all schools. In addition, this will open finances, which there has been needed for several years for teachers. Lacey Robinson. In a recent interview published this month, school consolidation expert Manny Barbera asked what would to say to the school board looking at closing or consolidating schools in April. He said it's too late. Outcome-oriented leadership would not be trying to rush this through. Furthermore, he said best practices for this field include not having the school board involved until the vote, but do having the community involved, making sure it's representative. He advised to give the community time to grieve and let the principals start leading right away. His opinions were further supported by recent research on school consolidations in Chicago, Illinois, and Pennsylvania. Start early, get the community involved in the fall, and be direct, which is not a skill set most EBR school leaderships value. The few meetings we had several people stood up and said most people don't understand the word realignment, yet the district refused to use a more simple language. Do better. John Wilson, thank you and your team for your dedication to enhancing our district's performance. The Student First Plan is one of the most comprehensive and effective strategies I've encountered in my 20-year career. It is well thought out and provides actionable steps that will significantly improve both teacher and student outcomes, enabling us to thrive in the ever-evolving educational landscape. Latoya Williams, several failing schools are proposed to be closed and their students being transferred to higher performing schools. How are these receiving schools expected to maintain or improve their performance scores with the influx of students from failing schools? What plans or resources will be provided to support the schools that are taking in new students? And Beth Thomas, and I'm closing after this. I just want to thank our superintendent and all EBR staff for all the hard work they do every day, especially regarding the difficult decisions they are working with at this time. It is clear Superintendent Cole and his staff spent several weeks poring over data and asking all the pertinent questions before presenting this option to the public. And I believe the plan is in the best interest of serving our children based on the data they have presented. And that closes the online comments.
Thank you. And last but not least, I had a card come in late. They don't wish to speak. Dorothy Young just wanted to comment and me to read the comment. Some of the schools you are keeping open and they need work repairs. What will be done? And that concludes our comments. And next, we're going to take comments from our board, and we have Ms. Carla Powell Lewis in the queue.
Thank you, Madam President. I hope I don't go over my 5 minutes. But
I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. First, I just want to share, I know that majority of the schools that are in this plan are part of District 3. And so with that in mind, I want to start off by saying thank you to Superintendent Cole and thank you to Ms. Pam Whitley. There was a workshop held in the fall where the public was able to sit in and hear where we were headed as far as a strategic plan. Then from there was a series of community engagement meetings throughout the district, more than one. I believe there were 3, if I'm correct. And of course, those schools, those who lived in those communities were invited to participate in those community meetings. And then from there was another workshop where Superintendent Cole shared his recommendations for repurposing, realignment, and consolidation. And then from there, I also want to thank the Capitol High Alumni Association for inviting me to their meeting, their most recent meeting, and allowing me to be able to speak to them and ask whatever questions that they would like to ask. And at that point, that's where I met Ms. Gaston. So I wanted to share that as well. I want to also share that I'm in agreement with what I've heard other constituents mention about Capitol High being a historic site. I feel like we definitely need to have a plan to keep our students, as I heard the gentleman mention. Also, I just want to ask too as well, what if we could imagine 2 teachers per class if we were able to close buildings that we're paying fees for, and we can actually use that money to be able to support teachers providing additional intervention for students in classes. Also, I do want to ask this, and this is going to be rhetorical, Mr. Cole, but the question is about the lack of communication. The gentleman in the front mentioned that there was a lack of communication, and of course, Ms. Banks also mentioned if there's a transition team, and I feel like you're going to speak to that in a little while. Just as I mentioned in our Capital Elementary engagement meeting, my goal is that we will have an active PTO in every school, not only in every school in North Baton Rouge where we need it the most, but also in every school. That is a plan. It is a plan for us to be able to engage in that. And I am listening to the voices of every parent. I need your help. Okay, so if we're going to set that up, I need your help with that. Also, I just wanted to share too, someone mentioned about the magnet programs. I tell everybody, I am a magnet graduate, but I do remember what the process was like. I remember going to Ryan Elementary. Then I remember them telling me, as far as rezoning is concerned, that I lived in Scotlandville and that I would be bused to Southeast Middle. So then from there, my mom said, okay, well, I guess we're moving to Baker. So we moved to Baker, and I went to Baker Middle. And she wanted me to go to my neighborhood school, so that's how I ended up at Scotlandville. It did not look the way that our community looked. So I completely understand and agree with that. As a matter of fact, I say I'm Go Eagles, but my whole family is Go Hornets. So I completely understand. Also, the gentleman or the person who mentioned about, I think it was a young lady who mentioned about the privatization of custodians. I completely agree with you. What I actually thought about was commercial lunches. Like, we are hurt because we don't have, and y'all, I'm sorry, this is just something that's extra for me. We don't have home cooked meals anymore in our schools. And the kids don't eat because they want home cooked food. They want, you know, ingredients that is actually cooked. So it takes a while to get to those places. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. Someone shared in regards to the community schools. I am so thankful for Miss Briscoe. Miss Briscoe is actually the principal at Winburn Elementary School. She and I get a chance to talk on a regular basis. One of the things she shared with me was that her feelings were hurt because even in her community, there are kids who are assigned to attend the school across the street. They live across the street from Winburn Elementary. But when it's raining, the parents tell her, I'm not sending my kids to school. And she's like, I'll walk across the street and get them and bring them into school, and they still refuse. So that's a bigger issue than just saying that we need to rezone, that we need to make sure that our schools are community schools. We have a bigger job than that to do. And then also, I wrote a statement because, and I know I'm going over, but I know I gave Coach a lot of time when I was a boy leader. Okay, so, so if I could just go ahead and share, while the majority of the schools impacted by repurposing, consolidation, or closure are located in my district in North Baton Rouge, including my own alma mater, Ryan Elementary, superintendent told me that he thought he was gonna have to hold my hand. I firmly believe this plan moves us toward a stronger future for our students and families. Under this proposal, Ryan Elementary will become an alternative school for middle schoolers, and Capitol High School and Capitol Middle School will merge to streamline medical programming and reduce facilities costs. And you all, I have actually been advocating for that since I've been on this board. More importantly, this realignment will build pride, hope, and opportunity for students in the area. Superintendent Cole's recommendation to transform the former Capitol High into a community hub, which he has mentioned, and Capitol High Alumni Center is a powerful step in order to recognize that historic site toward preserving legacy while moving forward. Additionally, we will finally establish a comprehensive middle school in Scotlandville that will serve all middle school age students in the community, not just a select group of magnet students. Community voices have been clear. They want to ensure, Superintendent Cole, I've heard some mention, they want to ensure that the library at Ryan Elementary retains the name of its first principal, which they actually have that in place, Mr. Yancey, and that the profound legacy of Mr. J.K. Haynes remains honored in a meaningful and lasting way, despite the closure of J.K. Haynes Elementary. I fully support these requests and have shared them with Superintendent Cole. Moreover, I have emphasized that if Scotlandville High School will have an alumni center like McKinley High School, then as I mentioned to you before, Mr. Cole, then Scotlandville and Estruma High deserve the same recognition and investment. Lastly, while it may be controversial, I strongly advocate for the swift, demolition of all buildings unfit for children. Blight, safety hazards, and community deterioration must be addressed with urgency so that North Baton Rouge can experience the same beautification efforts seen in other parts of our city. Although I am not in board leadership at this time, praise the Lord, I remain deeply committed to our board's charge, shaping policy that improves student outcomes. That was our work last year. So as a teacher, a parent, an aunt, a graduate, and lifelong advocate for public education, I proudly support this plan, inclusive of the community's concerns and the commitments I have outlined tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Powell. Mr. Russ?
Thank you. I'll be brief. I want to thank our community members that came out and voiced your concerns and your comments, whether it was in agreement or disagreement with the plan that Mr. Cole has presented. This is a very difficult process and doesn't come without a little pain, and that comes with change. I heard a lot tonight about what's happened in the past, and I want to recognize that this school board has failed over many, many years to address the issues that we are trying to deal with tonight. And unfortunately, as much as we all, I think, would love to, we can't fix those decisions or those indecisions that have been made. This is not the first time that your school board has attempted to go through this process. But I think that this board is resolved to doing what is best for kids and making sure that kids are in facilities that are suitable for learning. And I think it is up to us, and my commitment, and I hope the commitment of the rest of the board, is that it doesn't stop here. If this passes, we have a lot more work to do. We will have facilities that are empty and not fit for kids, much less many other things to address. There is investment that needs to happen across our parish, especially in parts of North Baton Rouge. And we have some opportunities ahead to do that. And so my commitment remains to see this through. This won't be a one-time decision on my part, but a lot of work ahead that we have to do, and including the mountains that Mr. Cole and his team are going to have to move if this plan gets approved. So thank you for all the work that you've put into this, Mr. Cole, in answering the charge. You have moved very swiftly, but also very thoughtfully in putting together this plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russ. Mr. Lewis?
I, too, would like to thank all the community members that are here tonight, as well as all those community members who came out to the previous 3 meetings that we had that consisted of all 9 school districts. In 2018, the first time I ran for this seat, I ran for it on the basis that we needed equitable resources across the board. And Ms. Nyman, you are 100% correct. Public education in America has been under attack since the 70s. But the only way we can fight this battle is to provide the resources to our children. There's a lot of money in failure. People have gotten rich on the backs of black and brown children in failing schools. Now, when I first joined this board, I made the comment that I was not going to use the word failing, just underperforming. And they're underperforming because they've been under-resourced. We have a school in this district that has 27 teachers in the building, 2 certified. That school is going to underperform. It can't help but underperform. What this plan will do will eliminate waste. It will give us the wherewithal to have 2 and 3 teachers in a classroom. We can work in small groups. We can take all of the applied science and learning, and we can teach and educate children. The young brother from Eva Lagarde, you're talking about aquaponics. Since 2009, I've fought for aquaponics programs to be placed in schools in North Baton Rouge, because we have a number of students in the state of Louisiana that go into agriculture for a living. This is an agrarian state. And for us not to prepare those children for where they live, we're doing them an injustice. We've got to fight the battle with the tools that we have. And if we're going to combine the resources, stop wasting money on buildings we have buildings with capacity of 800 students, and we've got 225 in the building. Let's combine our teachers, let's combine our students, and let's really move this district forward. But everybody's wanting to take a trip down memory lane in here tonight. At one time, the board, I don't know if it was in this building or not, their charge was to make sure black and brown children didn't get educated in EBR. We've come a long way. We've got a long way to go. But we can't get there if we're walking in one direction and looking over our shoulder in the other. I played football at the University of Southern Mississippi. We owned Ole Miss. The 4 years I was there, we owned them. And a reporter asked me one Saturday after we had owned them, what did I think about Ole Miss? I said, Ole Miss talks about going in one direction, but they got a statue in the middle of campus with a soldier walking in one direction, looking over his shoulder. That's what EBR has been doing. We've tried to walk in one direction, but we keep looking over our shoulders. It's time to move forward, because this is not about us. It's about the children that will lead this city, this state, and this country. We owe them. It is a right. It is a God-given right, a civil right for a child to be educated, an equitable education that's going to allow him to change the course of his family. The young brother who works at LaBerge, one of the things that we're trying to do with realigning these schools is create pathways for these people to change their lives. It may not take 16 years. If I've received an education that prepares me to run a casino, it may not take you 16 years, brother. It may take 4 or 5 years. We've got to start looking toward the future. I didn't graduate from no high schools in EBR. I'm not even from East Baton Rouge Parish. But I had 3 adult children and 9 grandchildren who all graduated from public schools in EBR, some magnet, some direct run. I have 5 great-grandchildren that will graduate from a school in EBR, and I want to make doggone sure that I leave something for them. Because when they close that lid on me, I want to make sure my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren can fend for themselves, and they've been given an equitable education that allows them to prosper. So let's stop looking backwards and let's start looking forward. And Capitol High holds a special place in my heart, so does Capitol Middle. And I'm gonna close. Yesterday morning, I was leaving the hospital, a young girl that worked in environmental services. I walked right past her and she looked at me. And I came back later, she goes, "Do you remember me, Mr. Lewis?" I go, "Yes, ma'am, I sure do." She says, "Thank you for suspending me." Wow. Because it made a difference. Let's move in one direction. Mr. Cole has done a heck of a job, and Ms. Pam Whitley has done an amazing job. Since I met Miss Whitley, every time I get on or off an airplane, I thank Miss Whitley. Because I know it's safe. I really do. Let's pull together. We've shown time and time and time again in this community that I've planted my flag in, we've shown time and time again that when the rubber hits the road, we're going to come together and we're going to do the right thing for the good of everybody. We don't worry about when it's a flood and somebody's putting you in a rowboat, whether you went to Capitol, McKinley, Baton Rouge High. We don't care about that. Because there's the human. That's when the human part of us all come out. And there's nothing greater than seeing a young child learning. Let's move in one direction and stop looking over our shoulders. I said it last year. We got to get our eyes out the rearview mirror and start looking straight ahead. Because if you look in the rearview mirror long enough, you're going to run into something coming right at you.
Come on,
Let's
Coach.
get our eyes out the rearview mirror and start looking straight ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Ms. Sule?
Coach, all anybody's thinking about now is, do you actually have great-grandchildren?
Yes, 5.
I know, he tells me that every time. Like, he doesn't look old enough to have great-grandchildren. Good genes. I had the privilege of being able to attend all of the community meetings during this realignment process, and I brought all of my notes with me tonight that I vigorously wrote down during all 3 of those meetings in case I needed to refer back. And I just wanted to take a minute to thank not only Superintendent Cole, but also the staff. You guys did a great job listening to the community. And as each community meeting came up, I would see how y'all had adjusted and came with answers to their questions or had done the research so that you could answer. And I just was really proud to be a part of that with you all. And so thank you so much for doing that hard work. Even tonight, as I was hearing some of the questions that people were asking, it was great to be able to think like, I know the answer to that because the staff has told me they do have a transition team in place. They do have plans of what they want to do after this. And so if you feel like there's more information that you want and you don't have, you guys, like it really is available. So please check out the website, check out social media, send emails to people. Like the information is available. And I think that was probably one of the things that was the hardest to hear tonight is people feeling like they didn't have the information because I feel like that's one of the things that central office and Superintendent Cole has worked very hard to do is to make sure that you guys have the information that you need. So thank you for sharing. I again took a lot of notes tonight, and tonight I was looking around and I saw the office, the staff writing down too and taking notes. And so some of the things I was thinking, I don't even have to follow up. I know they're already on top of it. They've probably already sent the email to the person they need to send to. So please, thank you for showing up tonight. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts about what you'd like to see for Capitol in the future, about Eva Lagarde feeling like you need a little more understanding of what's happening, for 70805 and wanting more parent workshops, the Estruma teacher. I just am so grateful to hear from all of you and took multiple pages of notes tonight too. So thank you. Thanks for being a part of the discussion. And I am so excited to be a part of this. And Superintendent Cole, I am grateful for the work that you've done, for the way that you've listened to the community, for the way that you've heard the board, for the way that you've walked through this process with us. So thank you. I am in full support and excited to walk alongside you in this.
Thank you, Ms. Sule. Mr. Gode.
Yes, thank you. There's no way I can match the feeling and emotions or the pink hat of any of my colleagues as it going through this, and I fully appreciate and respect their thoughts. But, you know, one of the things I just wanted to read is yesterday, with its mistakes and cares, its faults and blunders, its aches and pains, has passed forever and is beyond our control. All the money in the world cannot bring back yesterday. We cannot undo a single act we or others have performed. We cannot erase a single word that was said. Yesterday is gone beyond recall. And, you know, I can sit up here and I heard a lot of people complaining about things, and it's things I'd complain about too. You know, we have the magnet, I know the magnet program came up with some things, and we have a magnet program that this board inherited based upon decisions that were made many, many years ago. And I can't go back and relive those. I can't go back and redo those. We got to live with where we are. You know, around Capitol High was run for 14 years, I believe, by the state. 18 years by the state. We can't go back and redo that. There wasn't anything we could do about that. And so no plan is going to be perfect in everybody's mind, because everybody has different goals and ambitions and things like that go into it. But like Coach and Ms. Powell and others have said, we got to think about the kids and what is going to be the best for the kids going forward. And so while we appreciate the staff and all the work that they and our superintendent and others have done, the hard work is going to just begin once this measure is passed, if it's passed. Because there's a lot of work that's going to be going into making all of this work. And I think the challenge for you out there in the public is going to be, are you going to be someone who is constantly picking at the things that might not go perfectly? Because I can guarantee you some things are not going to go perfectly. Or are we going to be a group that comes together and does the things that tries to make all of this work? And I'll go back to Coach's football analogy. You know, you got 11 guys out there in the field, and 5 of them want to run a play that's a run around the end, and 6 of them want to throw a pass. If they don't get together and decide what it is they're going to do, and all of them work together to make it happen, if they're sitting there, if the linemen are sitting there blocking, not blocking because they say, oh, I want to run a pass, quarterback's going to get sacked. This is a time for us to make bold steps in the community to come together and to work this out and to focus on how do we make the changes that are necessary work, because that is going to be something that's very, very critical. And just as another little tidbit, because I heard people mention Chicago several times. Before this meeting, I was reading an article that was written in 2024 about Chicago public schools. And this was before they passed the big teacher salary increase that they have. But they had over a $500 million deficit. And the data that came out saying that there was a direct, and I'm not going to say it's a causation, but a direct correlation between the percent enrollment in the school and the academic performance of the schools. That the schools with the highest enrollment, the higher the enrollment in the school, the better the academics were in the school. The lower the enrollment in the schools, the lower the academics were. And a lot of people mentioned other things in here that are beyond control of this school board. We don't control the state legislature. We don't control charter schools. We don't control what happens if or when St. George happens. We don't control all of those things, but it's our responsibility to react to those things the best we can for the students and make those things happen. And this plan did have a lot of public input. This plan did have a lot of discussion. Is it a perfect plan? Is it a plan that I might have written myself had I been king to do it by myself? I'd probably done a few little things differently. But I don't have all of the input from the wide group of people that got input through all of this to put this together. So we elected this man to be our leader, and we have to follow him and put this thing through, because I do think it's for the best for all of our students. And I think we have to support our leadership and the staff. And the staff includes not only central office staff, it includes principals, it includes teachers, it includes administrators, it includes secretarial or office assistants, all the way up and down the line to do these things. And they are going to need our support to make this happen. And I hope that all of us can come around and support this plan and try to make it the best we can make it for our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gode. Ms. Paul Lewis?
Yes, just before we go into a vote, I wanted to ask Madam President if we could give Superintendent Cole the floor just to see if he had any last minute comments. Thank you for that facial expression, sir.
No, thank you very much for the engagement. I sincerely appreciate those of you who've come out to speak on the plan. Having been educated in our school system, it's really important to me that we get this right. There are folks who will come to our city for a time. I'm going to be here until the end of my time here on this earth, probably. And so in my efforts, the one thing I've tried to do over the last 30 years is serve children. And so we're going to continue to do this work. And our efforts are to make sure we put our kids in a position to be successful, fulfill their dreams, their goals, and their desires to be great in this world. And so with that being said, I'd ask for the board to support the plan.
Thank you.
Okay. With that being said, I move that we accept the superintendent's plan for realignment.
Do I have a second? Okay. Ms. Paul Lewis and Ms. Sule, second. Any other board comments? Okay, Mark.
I'd like to ask for a roll call vote, please.
That's fine. Any other comments, though? Okay. Madam Secretary.
District 1, Mr. Blue.
Yes.
District 3, Ms. Powell Lewis.
Yes.
District 4, President Stewart.
Yes.
District 5, Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
District 6, Mr. Russ.
Yes.
District 7, Vice President Gode.
Yes.
District 8, Ms. Sule.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And I would like to say something before we wrap things up. As a Capital alumni, and as it relates to some of the concerns of my fellow alumni constituents, I want to assure you guys that the decision that has affected Capitol High School has been thought of and has had much thought put into it. And I've spoken with many of you over the past few weeks as it relates to Capitol and your concerns. And like I said, as a Capitol alumni, I was concerned as well in regards to the education of the children that are in the building and the lack or the few numbers of children that are in the building. And so, of course, with this plan, Superintendent Cole has assured me, along with the rest of the board members, that Capitol will not go underneath the rug, in so many words. And so people were concerned about the actual building, about it being vacated or it not being repurposed. And I would like to just let you know that we are looking into specifics as it relates to repurposing the building. The building won't go as a vacant image in the community. And so I wanted to give you guys that information and let you know that I've been speaking with the alumni as well. And of course, as some of our high schools have alumni buildings, that has been brought up as an option to create alumni facility at that location. There are several things that have been spoken about. And of course, in our next phase, in our next plan to be able to identify what we're gonna do, that would be a part of it. That would be a part of it as well. So please, don't give up on us. Know that, we are going to do some good things, that our district is going to do some good things, and this plan is only the start of that. And so, work with us, have faith, and always put the students first. Mr. Gode?
Yes, just you touched the point about buildings and things. I just wanted to let the public know I attended the first meeting today of a group that is getting together to look at surplus property across the parish. and how to go about utilizing those assets to the benefit of the community. And that meeting included Build Baton Rouge, it included the city parish, it included BREC, included myself representing the school board, the chamber, the Baton Rouge Area Foundation, and a group. And we are going to be working together to come up with a process, a coordinated process about how to go about trying to return these community assets back to the community so that it doesn't just lay by the wayside. Because for too many years, we've just hung on to property without any real plan to do it. And that property needs to be reinvested back into the community. So that process has started. The group has started meeting, and we'll be meeting monthly over the next times, and I'm going to be meeting privately, for instance, with Bill Baton Rouge, and trying to move those forward. So it is high on our radar, and we will be taking concrete steps to try to make that happen.
Thank you, Mr. Gode. Superintendent Cole.
Yeah, thank you. I want to say thank you to the board. I want to thank staff for working so hard. Board members, I passed out a document. This is our next phase of the process in terms of the next 100 days. We have 3 different phases. We have the facilities phase, the academic phase, and the transportation phase. We have a plan for each one. We also have a plan for the Capitol High School site that we want to propose to the board in terms of how we want to utilize that facility as a Capitol High School alumni center, along with some other services we want to provide to the area, as well as what we want to do with some other vacant facilities. And so I want the board to know and the community to know we do have a transition team that has been working extremely hard in preparation for the approval of this item. And so we are prepared to go forward. And our commitment and goal is, number one, make sure that on the first day of school, all of our kids are in the buildings that they've been reassigned to comfortably, safely, and successfully. The next phase is that we're going to meet with families at those schools that are going to be affected and have some conversation with the school leaders as well as with the families of those children. And then secondly, we want to make sure we keep our promise for improving the feeder patterns as well as the transportation routes. So we've had those conversations as well. So I cannot thank staff enough for your hard work, your dedication, and your commitment to ensuring that we get this done the right way, because the right way is the only way for our students. So thank you so much for the efforts, and I sincerely appreciate the support.
Thank you, Superintendent Cole. Item C, of course, meeting dates and announcements. Committee of the Whole meeting to be held on May 1st, 2025 at 5 p.m. in the Central Office Boardroom. Oversight Committee meeting to be held on May 5th, 2025 at 5 p.m. at the Central Office Conference Room A. Some or all board members may attend. Regular meeting to be held on May 15th, 2025 at 5 p.m. in the Central Office Boardroom. Coach.
We are adjourned.